Hello, and welcome to Book Chats with Mostly Books. I'm Jody, and I just wanted to sneak on really quickly tonight and let you know that I will not be attending our book chat. But never fear, I leave you in the very capable, very entertaining hands of Jen and Melissa. Tonight, they're going to be discussing Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop, which is a fun rom-com. I'm sure they'll have lots to tell you about it. It should be really fun and delightful, so stay tuned for them. And then finally, I just wanted to announce that starting in June, we're going to move our time to 5 p.m. on Sundays for filming. So 5 p.m. Sundays in June on Facebook Live. I will see you back in June. All right, bye.
Okay, I think we're good to go.
Yep, I think we're ready.
Yeah. All right, so this is a book chat with Mostly Books. I'm Jen.
And I'm Melissa.
And we read Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop by Roselle Lim. And I guess that leaves me to do the summary.
Yes, take it away.
I always do these summaries. So Vanessa Yu doesn't start at her cousin's wedding.
Yeah, it's at the beginning, yeah.
Okay. I was like, wait, where do we start? So she sees fortunes in teacups, like you can read the tea leaves, but she does that with tea whenever she drinks tea or any other beverage, and it's kind of ruined her life. She's told embarrassing fortunes, happy fortunes, sad ones, and she's like, I don't like this. This is not for me. This is a curse.
Mm-hmm.
It gets so bad up to a point that she tells one, she's like, okay, this is bad, and then she sees a death prediction where she's like, this is it. I can't live this way anymore. So then her aunt is like, come to Paris with me, like help me open my tea shop. And Vanessa agrees to go, and her aunt is supposed to help her with these predictions because her aunt has them too, but they don't ruin her life the way they do Vanessa's. So what happens in Paris is like a fairy tale, some matchmaking, meddling, and then there's a happy ever after.
Oh, of course there is. You have to have one in a romance.
Yeah. Which, like, I guess, are we starting there? Are we starting with writing or, like, impressions?
We could do or what you thought of it.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I really liked it. First of all, the cover is very pretty.
It's really sweet and
I
cute.
love the colors and the teapots, and it gives you a whole feel for the book. And the title pretty much says it all. It's pretty magical. And
Yeah.
it's Paris, and there's just lots of magical elements in the book that I really liked. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it. It was a fun read.
It was really sweet, and it's Evelyn Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop. Only Vanessa kind of goes along for the ride.
It's not her tea shop.
It's her aunt's tea shop. It was like less of a romance than I was expecting.
Yeah, me too.
Like, there's a lot of stuff with Vanessa's extended family, and they're really sweet. I loved the aunties in it, and there is the romance and, like, the getting to know you, but then there's kind of, like, fixing, like, the relationship between Vanessa and her aunt. They bicker a lot. They're both very stubborn. So there's a lot of, like, her family stuff going on,
Yeah,
too.
and it's a lot about Vanessa finding who she is along the way. Like, I think she doesn't realize she's as lost as she was until she finds herself there. So, yeah, so I think going to Paris was really good. A good journey for her to go on. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I like that part, too.
It was, like, she had a plan for how this vacation was going to go, this vacation. That's what she was telling everyone it was. So they weren't going to be like, you're learning clairvoyance from your aunt? Like, okay. But then it doesn't really go how she planned it to go.
No.
And good for us, because it was a good book.
Yeah.
But she had a bit of a hard time with it. Yeah. Anything else on writing, or?
The author was really good at describing, especially the food.
Oh
It made me very hungry. So don't read this on an empty stomach because, and I'm not adventurous in food, so I probably wouldn't even eat most of this stuff, but it just sounded really good. And then her descriptions of Paris, you kind of felt like you were there. I've been there a couple times, so it just brought me back to the city and the feelings you have when you're there. So yeah, I just liked her descriptions. It just really took you into that world.
The book was 40% food. I will say that.
Yeah.
It was like 40% food,
in Paris,
40%
all the good desserts and pastries.
And then like 20% other plot.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of food, a lot of tea blends.
Well, that's how her family connected too. They were all foodies and all loved food, and that's how they came together, you know, to be with each other. So
yeah, and Vanessa gets this like taste in her mouth every time she gets a prediction. So like good predictions taste like toffee or sugar or something, and then one is like something like really burnt and bitter, and it's like, oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I really liked how she described that part too.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have really thought of that before.
The food descriptions are really good. Yeah, now I want to go find a French bakery.
Yeah.
And be like, now I need to know what these things are.
I know, I would need a croissant or something.
Yeah, I only recognize things from like watching them being made on Bake Off.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I know what that is, but then I'm like, I've only heard this word before. I've never seen it spelt.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to do characters then?
Yeah. Who do you want to start with?
We have Vanessa, obviously, our main character, which we've touched on a bit. She, you know, first reads tea leaves at 3 years old, which I can't even imagine what that would be like. And then she kind of felt pressured by her aunt to have lessons with her and try to control her predictions, but Vanessa didn't want anything to do with it. She just wanted to get rid of it. She thought it was a curse. So yeah, that obviously caused tensions with her and her aunt, and then, you know, when she needed her the most, her aunt was there. So yeah, so I like that relationship throughout the book was really fun to dive into and see how you would react in that situation too.
And it starts at like, they think that the clairvoyants in the family can't have long-term relationships because the predictions will get in the way. And Vanessa has like a whole slew of spoiled dates where the date's been going well, and then she gets a prediction like right at the end, and then her date runs off, and either like happiness that good fortune is coming, or like some negative emotion that Vanessa spilled the beans on something. So she thinks that she's destined to be a spinster, and she's the last of her cousins to like not be married. So all the aunties are like, who can we set you up with? They're very sweet. I feel like we'll talk about them as a character. Or a group of characters, that they're also overbearing.
Yes.
Should we talk about Evelyn?
Yeah, Evelyn.
Evelyn is Vanessa's clairvoyant aunt, who is also single, but they make reference to a tragic love affair in the past, and it's like, oh, you know that's gonna come back. But Evelyn is very like elegant, a bit mysterious, like holds kind of her cards close to her chest in this family of like chaotic affection. And she's always seemed a little bit set apart, and Vanessa kind of breaks her aunt's walls down basically through getting to know her and through some arguments, because they're both well-meaning but also stubborn. Yeah,
they're very similar in a lot of ways.
And at one point they're like, is this because we're so different or because we're so similar?
Yeah.
Who else?
Well, we have
the men.
Yeah, we have Mark.
And
Gerard, which I guess we'll touch into. I guess that would be more the spoiler part, maybe. I don't know what we can say about them.
I didn't trust Mark for like a good chunk of this book.
Yeah, I was kind of iffy on both of them at certain points.
Yeah,
so.
I was like, he's too perfect.
Yeah.
He's too nice. But we'll talk about him more, I guess, in spoilers, because I don't want to give it all away.
Yeah.
And then Gerard, it's not really a spoiler if they like allude to Evelyn's past love affair, and this is a romance. But he's her old flame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made a pretty bad impression on me when we first saw him.
Yeah, like, they described it as like a French Robert Redford.
Yeah, I don't remember which.
I was like, I think it's the actor who plays the old S.H.I.E.L.D. agent in The Winter Soldier, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember which.
Yeah,
I don't remember which actor she described him as in here, but yeah.
But he's like a French restaurateur, philanthropist, metropolitan city dude. And yeah, Evelyn has some unresolved feelings.
Yep, she has some secrets that she's been hiding from everyone, basically.
Oh, Michael. We should talk about Michael.
Oh, yeah. I liked him.
I did too.
He was fun.
Yeah. So who was he?
He's Vanessa's one of her many uncles. And he's probably her closest uncle.
Mm.
And, Vanessa had set him up with Jack. And so they're in a relationship together, and he's just always there for her. And, when she needs him in Paris, he's there. He comes, he's over in Europe with business, I think, too. So
Something like that.
yeah, so he comes to just help her out through her, situation that's happening and talk her through everything, that's going on with her Aunt Evelyn. So I just really liked him. He was a nice guy.
Yeah, he kind of shows up when Evelyn and Vanessa are butting heads, so it kind of
calms him down.
Yeah, a little
mediates
bit.
Between
mediates.
that's
it.
Mediates
That's
between
it.
them. Kind of talks to them both to,
Mm-hmm.
say you're not, right or wrong in this situation. So,
Yeah. He's good. And then the aunties.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're so fun.
Like when they surprise her at the salon or for the mani-pedis or something. I don't
Yeah, they ambush her
Yeah.
at one of the aunts. Faye owns like a nail salon. So then Vanessa and her mother go, because Vanessa thinks it's because she's stressed, and her mother is like, oh, this will be good for you. Then they take her upstairs and they ambush her, and they're like, we've gotten you an appointment with a matchmaker from Hong Kong because why aren't you married?
Yeah.
Basically.
You're the last one. We need to marry you off.
And so there's a lot of times where Vanessa's like, oh my gosh, why are my aunts doing this? Like, come on, you guys. Like, stop. But then there's also a lot of warmth.
Yeah, they're very well-meaning.
Yeah.
It might not come across that way to Vanessa, but they're just looking out for her and want the best for her, so.
Yeah, even if the best for her is, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But they're chaotic and wonderful, and they're fun, and
Mm-hmm.
it all works out
Yeah,
well.
you want them in your corner.
Yeah, or one of them will calling her, like, why haven't you called your mom yet?
Yeah.
It's just like, go call your mom when you hang up with me. It's like okay, auntie. Okay, so do you have anything else before we do spoilers? Because there are spoilery things to talk
probably
about.
not too much more we can talk about without spoiling it for everyone.
Yeah. Okay, so you should read this book. It's very cute. It's very sweet. I did read it in a day, and it was very easy to do. It
Yeah, it was a very easy read, so.
So
Definitely
go read it if you like food and cute, romancy, fiction type books.
It's got a little magical aspects to it, which I
Yeah.
enjoyed too. So that was a departure from some of the other romance ones I've read, so I enjoyed that too.
It was good. That part was a fun twist. So go read it so we don't spoil it any more than we have. Okay, I think they're gone.
Yep.
Can we talk about Mark first?
Yeah, sure.
I didn't trust him at first. I also didn't think he was a pastry chef. I thought he was an actor.
Oh, really? See, I liked him. I liked their meet cute when they met in the gardens, and
Yeah.
she's, her first sort of day she has to herself in Paris, and her aunt's like, you should go to the gardens. And
Yeah, you should take a scarf.
Yeah, and you can sketch, and it's really nice. You see the flowers blooming and all
Yeah.
this stuff, and she goes, and this big wind picks up and takes her scarf away, and she bumps into Mark, and he catches her
literally.
scarf. Yep.
It's very...
And he decides just to play tour guide with her around the city, and I just thought that was charming.
I he is very charming, and he's nice. I like him. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just through the whole, they played this game of him she's like, okay, guess what I do, and
Yeah.
she's like, okay, I'll collect clues, but also the more time I spend with you and I don't guess, that means I get more time with you.
Yeah.
So I thought he was an actor, because he's like, my job is stressful. He doesn't think he'll live up to his dad's reputation. I'm like, oh, he could be another actor. He works with his hands. He has all these weird little skills. I'm like, you could have picked those up from playing various parts.
Yeah.
He has to travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, I'm a professional poker player. And I'm like, that's a lie, but you could have had that for a role.
Yeah.
And that's why you're saying this.
That's funny. That never crossed my mind.
And I was completely off base. He's a pastry chef.
Which is great for Vanessa.
Yeah. He's a pastry chef with a gambling problem.
Yeah,
That's the poker player part.
Yeah, that's not so good, but
He deals with it at the end.
yeah.
Eventually, kind of has to. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then she has that premonition of him gambling,
Mm-hmm.
and because she tries to repress her prediction. She doesn't want to say.
Well, no, because he takes her there, and then she's like, I could see my life going this way. Like, I just don't say anything.
Yeah.
I didn't think she had a vision.
She did, because she said it out loud. It was something about his gambling problem, and she runs off. Like, she doesn't even give him a chance to do it, because other men have always run off on her. So she just takes off and thinks, okay, he's gonna win anything.
The first one, not the one at the end.
Yeah,
okay.
no, yeah,
okay,
the first one. And she was like, oh, he's not gonna want anything to do with me. So she just takes off.
Yeah.
And
she like spills the beans, and it's like, peace.
Yeah, like, oh, he's not gonna like this. So yeah, and then later they do bump into each other again.
Back.
And there's more wind, which was a little theme with them. There's always the wind.
Or like whenever anyone would say like Vanessa that like didn't have like a dialogue tag at the end of it, I'm like, is it Mark? Like, who is this?
Oh yeah. So yeah, then they bump into each other again, and he's not mad at her about it.
Yeah.
Because it's the truth, and he knows he has a problem, and he's obviously he's been stressed at work, and so he's just wanted to take the edge off, and he went out with some fellow chefs
Dudes.
at the restaurant, and they just kind of gambled at night after their shifts, but he knows it's a problem, and he wants to stop to spend time with Vanessa. So
yeah, should talk about Gerard.
Yeah. Oh,
he feels like a spoiler just by existing, because Evelyn like won't say anything about it, and then one of the aunts, or I'll back up. Vanessa finds out Evelyn has sold her house in San Francisco and has moved permanently to Paris.
Without telling anyone.
But yeah, without telling anyone. That just goes.
And then the aunties play detective and
and
find all these clues that she's been selling off furniture and antiques and stuff for a while now. So
they track down Evelyn's old roommate from when she's like went to Paris during college, and the roommate had stolen a picture of Gerard. And then the aunts got a hold of that, and they're like translated the inscription on the back, and it was like some romantic thing, like "You have my heart" or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember
something like that.
Yeah.
And then Vanessa gets it, and then Mark's helping her investigate. So it's like they're like, we gotta get Evelyn and Gerard back together. It's like the Parent Trap, but not their parents, and they're not siblings.
Yeah. But there's a lot of tension between them at first, though.
Yeah.
Because Vanessa finds out about this restaurant, just these butterflies
just wandering around,
lead her to this restaurant, and it's so she's like, oh, that would be a good place to take her for dinner. So they go to the restaurant.
Evelyn knows, because of the whole clairvoyance thing.
So her and her aunt go to the restaurant for dinner, and Gerard comes out and is very upset and says, you need to leave. And I don't know, Evelyn and him were speaking in French, so Vanessa didn't know what they were saying, about their past, but she knew something was up with that, and so that's how she gets into the whole, like, then they had to bring up the picture, and then she's like, oh yeah, I think this was him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's trying to figure out why, they're just not happy, well, Gerard's not happy to see Evelyn now if they were so close in the past, so that's a whole journey too for them.
And it gets nastier that Evelyn's tea shop has been open for like 2 or 3 days, and then they go to dinner, and then there's a boycott against her tea shop, and it's like very just flat out like racist attacks on Evelyn. And Evelyn's new to the neighborhood. She has no family on that side of the ocean. She only has a few friends, and it's just very distressing. I wasn't expecting that in the book.
Yeah, no, I wasn't either. That was hard to read about. It was just
yeah, it's like it's handled fine. It's not like the big focus on the book. I wouldn't say this book is about racism.
No,
it's just like it shows up, and they're like, "Why would Gerard do this? Like, don't you know him better than this?" Or like, "Auntie, why did you pick him?"
Yeah.
But it all resolves and works out.
And it wasn't Gerard.
It wasn't Gerard.
So
it was,
I don't know, some business guy and his sister who's been trying to get with Gerard. I was like, okay. So it seemed like it was more to sabotage Evelyn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was more to sabotage like Evelyn as a romantic rival.
Yeah. So Gerard, redeemed himself in the end there.
And it's like the blue butterfly was like significant to their time in college, and Evelyn has like a butterfly painted on her shop, and it's just like how she has a teapot the color of his eyes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what kind of pining nonsense is this? That you have a teapot the color of his eyes.
Yeah.
But you won't talk to him.
Yeah, she was just afraid because as a clairvoyant, they don't have red threads.
We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, so they don't have red threads that connect them to their, like, soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
So she thinks, well, because it's to balance out them being clairvoyant.
Yeah.
So because of their gift, they don't get to have, like, a true love in their life. So she thinks, well, I'm just supposed to be alone and miserable.
And then Vanessa's like, well, if you think you're going to be alone, so then you take steps to make yourself alone, of course you're going to be alone.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, Vanessa... I don't know how... Do we want to, like... I guess it's spoilers. Anyway, Vanessa thinks she has clairvoyance, and then turns out when she starts taking lessons, she's very bad at it.
Yeah.
And for a while, her and her aunt think it's like, oh, it's just because you repressed your gift for so many years. You, like, it's stunted.
Yeah, it's all built up, and you have to just, like, release it. So,
you need
like,
to
one
vomit
of the first
prediction.
steps. Yeah, one of the first steps she gives her is just work in her tea shop, drink all this tea, and, like, just tell everybody their predictions. Just get it out. And then she thinks that's why she's had these, like, really bad headaches afterwards, and, you know, so it seems to be helping. And then the second step was to try to do it without tea, just to, like, you know, clear your mind and just, you know, it'll just come to you, and then it doesn't come to her. And, I don't know, Evelyn just thinks she's not trying hard enough.
She's like, you're not focusing.
Yeah. And then Vanessa lied and said, oh, I think I saw something, and then this, like, lamp crashed down on her.
The chandelier fell out of the ceiling.
Yeah, so, which was one of the rules. You're not supposed to, like, lie about, you know, premonitions. Because they have consequences. So, she learned that firsthand, too.
So these rules that's like you can't lie about having a prediction or whatever.
Yeah, and you can't predict your own future.
Yeah, you can't see your own future. You can't, like, force a prediction to come. You can't compel one.
Yeah. And you don't have a red thread.
Yeah, you don't have a red thread.
Yeah.
Thread of fate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they get in a big fight.
And they do, and Vanessa almost dies.
Yeah, she doesn't get hit by was it a bus or a van or something? She, like, throws her suitcase.
How did that work? Because it sounds like she kicks her suitcase.
But she still somehow gets hurt because she was in the hospital.
She, like, jumps out of the way, I guess?
Yeah, shouldn't she hurt her arm or her hip? Because she had to, like, use a cane or something.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so then they find out, after the fact, she sees these red threads. It starts with, you know, Michael comes to, like, see how they're doing, and she's on the phone with Jack, and Vanessa sees a red thread connecting, like, coming through the phone and connecting to Michael, what? And she's like, Evelyn, did you see that? She's like, no, we can't see red threads.
That's not how they work.
And then, like, she starts seeing him out with other people, and she sets up Inez the baker. Inez and Luke, who was supposed to marry some other girl for family reasons, but they really love each other, so she talks to them and meddles. And
she meddles, but, like, well-meaning.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you're gonna lose her if you don't, you know, admit that you love her. So then she sees them with the red thread, and so she's just seeing them everywhere, and they're not sure why. Until
they find out that, like, Evelyn has her drink tea one day, and then Vanessa's like, oh yeah, this tea was really good, and Evelyn's like waiting for it. She's like, you didn't have a prediction.
Yeah.
And then Vanessa starts crying.
Yeah, because she's just relieved. Yeah. That's fine. I mean, I think it hits her, though, then, that, like, all this, what she thought she was all along, she's not. And so she's like, well, what does that make me? Where do I go from here? What am I supposed to do? So, yeah, and they find out that, I guess she was born with two destinies.
Yeah.
The clairvoyance and the matchmaker, because I guess she sees threads everywhere, but she sees them especially with the ones she matched together. Yeah. And I guess her clairvoyant side was the dominant one, and, you know, there was all this tension, and then, I don't know, somehow in the accident,
part of her died.
Yeah.
Like, the clairvoyant part of her died. Which maybe is just because she didn't see the car coming.
Yeah.
Like, if she was actually clairvoyant, no, she can't see her own future, never mind.
No, yeah.
But it's like, yeah.
But her aunt might have.
Yeah. Did her aunt see that? Well, there's that part about, like, squeaking tires. Remember?
I don't remember that part.
Like, it's very brief, and Vanessa's like, oh, you saw this happening, you saw something with, like, screeching tires or whatever, and it was like, does that matter? You're almost died, but you didn't. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really brief moment. I didn't, like, it took them having to mention it again for me to be like, oh, yeah, that happened. And
Yeah.
forgot about it again.
Yeah. And then, should we talk about when Gerard comes to the tea shop?
Gerard. Well, first, let's do that.
He's preceded by butterflies, just to be clear.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blue butterflies with them.
And there's a lot of, like, when Evelyn gets angry, there's, like, fog and the temperature drops.
Yeah.
I was like, is this, like, in Vanessa's head, or it's, like, is this actually happening with the clairvoyance and
stuff? She mentioned that a few times. Yeah, I don't know. And so Gerard comes to the tea shop.
Mm-hmm.
First, Vanessa had gone to see him.
She meddled.
Yeah, she pretended to be somebody else and to get a meeting with him, to confront him about the photo, and he had explained that Evelyn had known about the restaurant he wanted to build, and the name of it, and that he was waiting for her to come back.
He'd done all this to, like, for her, like,
yeah.
This is like a happier version of, like, Gatsby throwing all the parties for Daisy's attention.
Yeah.
Gerard did all this for Evelyn's attention.
Yeah.
And then Evelyn came and, like, did her own stuff, but they just didn't talk to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then after that, Gerard comes to the tea shop. He was like, well, this boycott thing wasn't me. I know who did it, and I'm, in contact with other people to,
He's fixing it.
Yeah,
basically.
to fix it, get good publicity and all that stuff. And then he's like, well, I love you, Evelyn. Do you love me? And then she finally says yes.
There's a minute where I thought, I'm like, Evelyn, you better say yes. Like, don't mess this up.
Yeah.
Because it takes, like, a page or half a page.
Yeah.
And like, goes to the next page. It's like,
yeah,
well,
it was like the next
say?
chapter. Like, what's gonna happen?
So they get their happy ever
Yeah.
after.
And then Vanessa sees a red thread with them.
Her aunt gets a red thread.
Yeah, which Evelyn was like, I don't think I have one, but if you see it.
Yeah.
Because Vanessa brought them together. And then her and Mark.
Yeah. Mark quits his stressful job to go with Vanessa. They're going to Shanghai.
Yeah. Well, first there was a little tension between them. They had after the whole Gerard and Evelyn, she's like, okay, it's my chance to make things right with Mark, and so she goes to find him after work one night, and he was about to head out with the boys, and she's like, oh, let's go do something. He's like, okay, I have the perfect place to take you. And he takes her to this, like, seedy bar, and him and his friends are, like, playing poker, and he's not paying attention to Vanessa at all, and so she's not too happy about that. And so she confronts him outside, and she's like, I love you, I think we could be great together, but
she sees her red thread with him, like,
but then she can't, the poker can't be more important than her. And so she leaves, and the red thread snaps. I was like, oh my god.
Like, can you get that back?
Yeah, I know. I was like, what happens now?
What happens now? Like, do you get one and then it's gone, or like?
Yeah, I know. But then in the end, they get it back.
But yeah, it works out okay, because it has to work out okay.
Yeah.
But it's still like.
Yeah, he does like a little like I don't know, do you make like her dessert or something at the restaurant?
Yeah, so he worked this whole time. His super stressful job has been at Gerard's restaurant.
Yeah. And
as Gerard's been going through this emotional crisis with Evelyn, he's like kind of taking it out on his staff. So the night, it's supposed to be a night to like celebrate Evelyn and Gerard and dinner, and Vanessa's going along, trying to get over Mark, and Gerard tells her like, oh yeah, Mark quit, I don't know where he went, and you think that's the last of it. And then you find out Mark has like cooked this amazing meal or these amazing pastries they're eating, and then he shows up, and then they like kiss make up.
Yep.
The whole thing. It's
yeah,
very
and then
sweet.
because then she finds out that she's like supposed to be a matchmaker, and she's gonna go to Shanghai to study with the matchmaker who'd come to see her
Yeah.
in the beginning and like kind of, you know, hone her craft, so to speak. And so she's like, this is what I'm going to do. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go with you.
I'm going to go.
Yeah,
with you.
like, I'm going to brush up on my Mandarin and we're going to go and
Yeah.
you know, meet each other's families and, you know, all that stuff. So it's very sweet.
Yeah, because he can speak Mandarin. Vanessa cannot. And there's a point where Vanessa, like, tries to learn it and she's like, can't do it.
Yeah, that's why I have you.
Yeah.
you can
Personal
translate
translator.
for me.
Yeah, it was really, the ending is so sweet. There's a sentence in there where it's like, Vanessa's remembering something her mom said to her. It's like, blind love is only good if, like, your person, like, thinks of you first and won't let you, like, fumble around in the dark. And I'm like, that's so sweet.
Yeah, I know. It was just a sweet book.
It was. It was really good. It was, yeah, I don't know. I don't read sweet very often.
Oh, yeah, I do.
So this was good. This is a good change of pace for me.
Yeah. Do you have anything else we need to say?
The author has one other book now that I want to go back and read it.
Yeah, this was her second one.
Yeah.
So she had one out before that, which also I think was about, I think there was something with food in the title, maybe, if I remember correctly.
Natalie Tan's Book of Luck and Fortune.
No, maybe not food, but there might be food in there.
I hope there's food in this one. Like, 'cause food is described so well in this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one sounds good. I want to go read that.
Yeah.
This is what happens. Like, I'll read a book for one of these book chats, and I'll be like, oh, I want to go read the author's, like, backlist now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Yes, very good. Very good. If you like romance, if you like fiction.
It was a good read for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Yes.
It's a mouthful. Usually I just have to type it out, and I'm just like AAPI. HM.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's usually shorter, but it's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really good. It was really sweet.
Yes, I know. I really recommend it. It's
Lots of art, lots of food, lots of tea.
Yep.
It was very French.
Yep. Magical.
Mm-hmm.
But not like fantasy magical.
It's not, yeah, like the magic in this one, it like hinges on the power of love.
Yeah.
So like, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're about done with this one.
Yeah. What?
Okay.
Well, not us, but who?
Yeah.
And
So
what are they
next
reading
week,
next
Jody will be back with Tasha, and they're going to be reading The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. It's kind of a gothic suspense.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a suspense thriller,
Yeah.
probably psychological thriller.
Yeah, so
kind of thing.
sounds like a good one. And just a reminder that starting next week in June, we will be going to 5 o'clock local time on Sundays for these book chats.
Yeah. Any other changes, we'll post them on social media.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.